Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So maybe you are considering giving birth with an epidural, or maybe considering giving birth without an epidural, going all natural, and you just want to hear some real mom experiences when it comes to the pros and the cons of each. Well, I'm your best YouTube mom friend today because I delivered with an epidural, not once, but twice. And I delivered without an epidural, not once, but twice. So 2 and 2, I can compare this for you today. So I'm excited to give you all the pros, all the cons from my personal experiences, and I will let you know at the end of the video exactly which method I prefer. Okay, so first I want to start talking about the epidural. What is it like to even get an epidural? If you have never seen someone get an epidural or you haven't given birth before, it can kind of be surprising in the way that it goes down, because here comes an anesthesiologist ready to relieve you from your pain, and usually at this point you have been experiencing a considerable amount of contractions because an epidural can slow down birth. So they usually want you to wait until you're at a certain point within your birthing process before they give you an epidural. At least that's been my experience. So I was 7.5 centimeters because I wanted to go the distance. I wanted to go natural, but I couldn't make it past 7.5 centimeters because that's usually where the transition happens, and that's the most painful part of labor. So I called the anesthesiologist. No shame, it's fine. How you birth is fine. Just getting the baby here is the most important thing. So I asked for an anesthesiologist to come in. They told me that I had to stay completely still. And like I said, you are having contractions. They are painful. And you are wondering, how in the world am I going to stay completely still? But then the anesthesiologist tells you, if you don't stay still, that you may become paralyzed. This is a real danger when they are putting that needle into your spine. So you find the strength to stay still. So I'm staying still. You have to hunch over, which is also pretty uncomfortable because you have a big, huge 9-month belly in front of you. But you know, you need your back to be in a certain position for them to insert this needle. I don't remember the needle pain feeling really intense or anything like that because, again, I'm feeling contractions. I'm thinking about that. But it was fairly fast, fairly quick, and within moments, all of a sudden I couldn't feel my contractions anymore, but I also couldn't feel my legs anymore, my vagina, nothing. I could feel absolutely nothing. So the pro of feeling nothing is you're not in pain anymore, but there is a con. And the con for that is that when it was time for me to push my baby out, I had really hard time pushing my baby out. Now, why was that? Because I couldn't feel the baby. I couldn't feel where the baby was. I couldn't feel the pressure, and it took me almost 3 hours to push my son out. It was exhausting. One of the things that had to happen was the epidural had to be pulled back so that I could feel again and actually push the baby out. So that was a really negative part, and there was a threat of getting a C-section because I wouldn't push the baby out quick enough, and that was due to my epidural. So the epidural kind of led this slippery slope to getting a C-section, which was something I did not want to get. So that is something to consider if you are getting an epidural, the pros and the cons. And I thought another con was the fact that I did not know that after I delivered the baby, that even though they pulled back the epidural a lot, I still had zero use of my legs. And I hated that. I didn't know it really until I tried to get out of the bed to get into the wheelchair to go to my room. And I literally dropped to the floor. I mean, just completely dropped to the floor. It was so embarrassing. I had no control over my legs, zero. And that was a negative for me because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what if there's like an earthquake or something and I need to get out of this hospital and I have my baby, I can't even run, I can't do anything. It just from like a natural standpoint, it just felt very I just did not like it. I felt like I didn't have control, and that was problematic for me, especially having my new baby. So that was negative for me. However, the second time that I delivered with an epidural, it was super chill, super calm. I mean, it was just, I didn't feel the contraction pain because I had my epidural, and then all of a sudden I pushed, and then within a couple pushes, boom, my baby was on my chest. It was to the point that I was kind of surprised when the baby was on my chest. I thought there should have been more to my birth. I don't know. It was just so quick and easy and relaxed. So that was a major pro. Super easy, so chill, no pain. Baby's here. Now I can go on to trying to breastfeed and get her to latch and just other things in motherhood. So that was definitely a pro. It was so relaxing and chill. So now let's talk about giving birth naturally. So I gave birth to my second son, all natural, no epidural, and one of the cons in feeling everything was the burning ring of fire that I felt when I was physically trying to push him out. I didn't feel it when I had my daughter, my next daughter, all natural, because I didn't push her out. I allowed my body to push her out, and I have a video all about that, so definitely check that video out after this. But that burning ring of fire was not, I mean, I didn't like that. I did not like it. It wasn't something that lasted a long time. It just happens when the baby is emerging, and you are pushing down, you will feel that. So that was a con, and obviously another con is the fact that you will feel the contractions, and if you don't have pain management techniques, you're going to feel those contractions and you're going to feel that birthing process from beginning to end. Now, understand as well that if you don't have pain management techniques, you will feel those contractions and the pain even if you get an epidural, because there is a time period between you starting your labor and you getting your epidural that will be filled with contractions. So it is important to have pain management techniques no matter what, and I do have a video that can help you out with that. But if you don't have pain management techniques, absolutely giving birth naturally can be quite intense, and that can be a negative. However, the positive part of that intensity is that you get this huge like climax type event when the baby does finally emerge and is on your chest. Oh my goodness, like you feel this huge influx of hormones that honestly, I didn't feel it to that level when I had my epidural. In my personal experience, you know, I have to tell you the truth about these things. I didn't feel it as much when I had the epidural versus when I gave birth without an epidural. It was this huge influx of happy hormone, everything going on. Now, of course, did I love all my babies the same? Of course. It doesn't matter how they get here, of course. I'm just saying, like, just those small things that make one experience very different from the other. Another pro was that I was able to feel when something was wrong. So there was something wrong in my birth after I delivered my son, and my placenta did not fully detach, and a little bit was left behind, and I felt like something was wrong. I truly feel that if I had an epidural, that I wouldn't have felt that sense that something was wrong. And I had to advocate for myself at that moment because the medical professionals there were being very dismissive of my experience. And so I had to push for assistance in that moment. And that was something that was a huge pro, because giving birth natural in that moment for me saved my life. Literally. One of the cons in that situation, though, is that for my medical emergency after giving birth naturally, I did have to have some type of pain management for my surgery to remove everything. You know, it was an emergency. So that kind of was another step that had to be taken. And of course, in some medical emergencies, every minute, every second counts. So that's something also to consider as a con, because if I had an epidural, they would have just been able to go straight to it probably. But because I didn't, I had to have, that phase of getting management for the pain of the surgery, because I'm not having surgery without some type of pain management medically, okay? I'm not doing that. Only birth. You know, I'm not superhuman. I'm human. So that's really important. But I did feel that my next birth, while I gave birth to my daughter naturally in the car, it was in the car. So it was super natural. It wasn't even in the hospital. It just, I felt really calm, and I felt like the event just felt, again, it really was this big influx, you know, because you've done so much work up until that point in managing the pain and being in tune with your body, that you really just get to be in tune with your body on another level. And I felt like that was a huge pro of delivering naturally versus when I gave birth with an epidural. So which one would I choose? If I had a fifth child, out of my 2 experiences with an epidural, 2 experiences without, what would I choose? I would choose, again, to deliver naturally. I would, without an epidural. Even though going into it every time, of course, you have fears and concerns and everything, but one of the huge pros that I listed for me was the fact that I could feel that something was wrong and advocate for myself. When I gave birth without the epidural, and also the experience where I got the epidural, and it was kind of this slippery slope toward having a C-section. And if you don't know, if you're a newer person here on my channel, my mom passed away from having a C-section, so that went wrong. So for me, it's a huge fear to have it. Of course, I know plenty of people who are fine, but there are those who don't make it, such as my mom. So because of that, I personally prefer having a little bit more control and in the situation, and that means giving birth without an epidural. But at the end of the day, all of my children are here safely, and I'm still here as well. So I'm glad you stopped by to say hi. Please comment in the comment section below any of your birth experiences. Tell me if you've had an epidural or if you've given birth without one. I love reading your birth stories so much. I'm going to leave a playlist here for any of the moms who want to know more about labor and delivery experiences. And I will see you in another video. Don't let this be the last time that you see me. Make sure you are subscribed and that you have that bell turned to all. And I'll see you soon.